Hello and welcome to the channel. I'm just going to introduce one of our new products. It's the personal incident record management system. So we're just going to jump straight in here. This is really a system that's designed on Microsoft Access, and it's kind of developed for people who are managing personal incidents and want to report, share information, and really provide a way of giving information, managing it internally, but also if you have to share with auditors or government agencies information in a very usable form and reportable. So we're going to look through the different features of the system. First of all, we're just going to log in and I'm going to show you what it looks like. So you get a view. So here we are, we're logged in on Access form. This is the home screen. I'm logged in here as the admin. There's different levels of access, editor and regular reviewer level. The admin obviously has the most access. So here's a look at some records that we created earlier. You have option here to look at a creation date and assignee. So if you were managing a personal incident rather, you could use this form. We have a lot of drop downs in here in terms of types of information, personally identifiable information. So we have quite an extensive list here of about 15 or 16 different personally identifiable information that you would expect to find in a lot of privacy laws. So here you can select the number of people maybe that are affected by a breach, location, incident, short description. Typically sorry about the beep in the background, it's just a kind of a thing with Access sometimes. But you can enter in some of the information here in terms of what you'd expect to see in a regular ticket, uh, incident location. So if you're creating a record, generally speaking, there'd be a lot of links to reports and other documents that would go through it. So this form or this record would kind of be a central repository that would link to both to documents on your file system, perhaps police reports here. You can see that you can attach here in a form to the record. So you really have everything in one place. This differs a lot if you've done this kind of thing before with tracking personal incidents or data breaches. A lot of the stuff is done in Excel or Word. It's kind of haphazard. There's no centralized system. This is kind of a way that you can centralize all the information. And should a government agency or an auditor come in and ask for what kind of record keeping that you have in your company, well, here you go. You've got these kind of records, and you give them reviewer access, and they can browse through the records. In reviewer access, they won't have access to all these tables and so forth. It's all restricted, but you can give that reviewer type access. So here this is the main record. What I really want to show you here is that you can enter in all the information that you would need to map to any privacy laws that would demand a level of detail. So if you had to report a breach or something like that to a government agency in the States, like the Office of Attorney General, or under GDPR, there would be national data protection authorities like the ICO in UK or CNIL in France, or wherever it may be, that you would have these type of records handy, created in this type of form. You have these navigation options that take you through to other records. You can get the run-of-the-mill type of stuff that you can track here. Employee stolen laptop. Here's the type of data that was stolen. You can select here all the different types. There's quite an extensive list of information that you can select that may have been compromised. You document it here, and it'll just append to the field. So when you're done with all that, you can, as I mentioned before, do your assignments. This created by is done automatically. You have timestamp information here at the end. The grayed out fields are generated, so that's useful from an auditability standpoint. So then looking at some of the other form fields, obviously you're done with the record, you save it, exit the form. You can select and clear filters and stuff like that. If you want to go to a specific record, you can use these magnifying glass features that will allow you to select, tickets that are open, select by an ID. Anywhere here where you see a magnifying glass, you can do your selection. You can create a new record, delete, save to PDF, and print it out, and of course then email it. Then you have some other fields in there, so that just going to veer away here from the main form and look into some of the other components of the system. In here, you can manage user registration. So right now I'm here at the admin level, but there's different members of an access group, an editor who wouldn't have access to create users and etc. Why is this important, access groups? Well, I mean, you perhaps you want a system that's isolated from Active Directory and perhaps from, if you're using Remedy or ServiceNow or Jira or some of these other systems, you want something. I've worked as security pro for a while. You often want something that's segregated from the main population, that you have control over, that you're able to encrypt the database and set your own parameters of who can get in and out of the system. So here's a system. Access has some good features for, locking down who has access to what. So when you're creating your users here, you can set the level of permissions that they have here. So that's and then there's an auditability as well as showing you the last logon and account creation date. It's not too dissimilar to Active Directory, but it's not connected to Active Directory. So it leaves it a little bit more secure in terms of if a hacker gets on your network, he's going to go looking around at Active Directory credentials. This is going to be separated from that and giving you that little extra peace of mind. So that's the manage user. Then there's the report section. So you can do something for full incident reports, summary reports. So that's an example of the full reports. You can print out all the reports in the system. That's the full amount here. We have about 8 records in the sample thing that we share within the summary report. A little bit less. It just breaks down to a smaller, more condensed format. You have KPI reports, which is your dashboarding. So incidents open over 180 days, incidents created year to date, closed this quarter, open high risk incidents, and then incidents by signees. Here we some arbitrary names. So 2 tickets opened, or 2 tickets have been assigned to each of these people for this last quarter. And here's a distribution then of tickets over time. This is useful for providing KPI dashboarding to show people how much work you're doing and incident management. And then there's a system users report. This is only available to the admin section. You get a breakdown then of each user of the system and their level of access and whether the account is enabled. This kind of mirrors the type of things that you would see in Active Directory. So they're just kind of an overview then of the system from this point. So there's a couple of other type of features that I'm going to show you. So then there's a DB admin section, which is only available again to admins here. So you can choose options to backup database. So if you're doing some operations that you're going to be doing on the database, or you just wanted to do due diligence and have a backup, you can select here to backup the database. This one here, clear user table. So when you get our database, when you buy the product and download it, it's going to have these 8 or so records, and then the user registration records and stuff like that. You just go in here and initialize this. This basically clears out the data so it gets it ready for first use. Then encrypt database. This creates the current version of the database is password protected. For if you're a single user, particularly on the system, if you're going to be doing the vast majority of the work in the system and just you can go ahead and encrypt this database, which gives you exclusive rather than shared access to the database, and encrypts all the tables and gives you that what they call the paranoid level of security. Well, you get it with this encrypted database. It'll create a copy which is password protected. It prompts you for a password in exclusive mode. And then the last thing here I want to show you before we jump into a kind of a summary then of the system or recap is the export to SQL. It may come a time when you're ready to take the jump up and say, well, listen, I want everything managed through SQL and all the extra features, I suppose, SQL. You can export all the records here into a SQL table and does all the formatting for you, which is kind of useful. It exports it to a SQL tables.sql, and you can import that then into the SQL database. And there you go. You're taking the next level jump up. That happens sometimes with companies that are going from small, medium size up to enterprise level. They want something bigger and bolder. So then that's the high level of the system. Just going to take you through the recap then, so you get a overview of, again, of what the system is and what it's used for. So what is it? The personal incident reporting system or management system is a Microsoft Access-based tool which provides a secure way to create, track, share, report, and manage personal data incident records in a consistent and auditable way, allowing you to comply with the most stringent of privacy laws. Essentially, it's a fully secure way of tracking and reporting on your incidents, which gives you the information you need quickly for personal data incidents for your own use or to provide to government agencies, assessors, or auditors who might need it in the event of a breach or a review. System uses highly detailed data entry forms, as you've seen, report options, reports and queries, to give you complete control over every aspect of personal data incident management. And you probably know already that you really must have a way of tracking these incidents, and you will be asked in the event of the worst where you get a data breach, you will be asked, how are you tracking your personal data incidents? They're a little bit different by state in terms of statutory requirements. You'll see that some state in GDPR, for example, that you might have 72 hours to report an incident. Well, you need a system like this to be ready, to have a full kind of full scope readiness for any questions that are going to come up from authorities, etc. So anyway, in the system that you get includes 8 or so sample incident records as a model to get you started quickly, and the ability to print, export to PDF, and email records, which is essentially often only available in expensive software packages, unlike this. The systems can be used with many privacy frameworks and has a very useful metrics dashboard, which gives you useful KPI reports. KPI reports such as records which haven't been updated in a long time, and a breakdown by who's done what. It also features various security access levels. The system includes various security access levels, as we saw, administrator, reviewer, and editor level. It has encryption options and lockdown features which ensure the confidentiality of sensitive data that it stores. Obviously, with an incident management system, you could be attaching things like HR, let's say in some cases, payroll files or incident logs or investigation files about individuals, etc. It can get quite sensitive, obviously, so you need that extra level of security that you might not get with other systems. So what problem is it trying to solve? Well, many organizations, especially small to medium-sized ones, are using bare bones Excel or Word documents to track incidents, not just personal incidents, but any kind of incidents, which is often an insecure method and are missing the details that are required by authorities and auditors should there a breach, particularly if there a breach could happen. It's often the case that some of the details for these incidents may be too sensitive to put in general ticketing systems like Jira, ServiceNow, and Remedy. Hence, a standalone system like this can give you the peace of mind and the control you need. Manual methods such as spreadsheets and Word offer no business intelligence, useful reporting functionality, or methods to ensure data entry is secure, accurate, and complete. This means that PII record keeping is much more likely to trigger an issue in the case of a breach or legal case when regulatory authority investigations are underway. A sound method is required to handle data entry consistently every time with some level of tracking and reporting so that you can identify gaps and overdue tasks. All right, so what are some of the key features? Just to recap here, and we're almost there. Highly secure system with different levels of access, with the convenient registration to give you that granular control over who can do what. Form-based entry with time stamping, category type item drop-downs. Categories that we saw there were things like types of personally identifiable information and risk levels. And incident assignees as well. We saw a couple of those drop-downs in the form. Then there's a user registration system for managing the users internally and changing passwords and looking at last login things, much like you'd see at Active Directory records. Then there's the system itself, which aligns to requirements for most jurisdictions for breach reporting requirements so that you can quickly produce reports, etc. So GDPR and GDPR-like laws are here to stay, and all of them have some form of breach reporting requirement. So this is a system that would deal with that and has a lot of the drop downs that we see not just in GDPR, but in the US privacy laws, in PDPL, in so the new privacy regulations and the KSA and so forth. So then there's also includes quick methods for record retrieval, pre-formatted printing, saving, secure sharing, and editing functions, which are commonly found in expensive systems. Includes a set of pre-built sample records with sample categories and other records data, which allows you to familiarize yourself with the process. Includes a KPI metrics dashboard, as we saw, with breaks down records assigned to each user, number of records open and closed year to date and in the current quarter. Includes a summary and detailed incident print-ready reports, along with a report for system user membership, so you can get control of over who has access. It also includes a support form in case you have questions about the system or if you run into any kind of issues. It also has the admin console, which we've shown there in the end, with options for backing up the database, encrypting the database, and exporting it to SQL. So frankly, there are so many features in the form in this product, in the way of forms, reports, queries, and macros, that there really isn't enough time to cover them in one video. But just to say that, trust me, it's worth it. Take it from Security Pro. I've been doing this for about 30 years, and I've used various different incident management ad hoc type things before, which led me on this journey to create something a little bit more structured and a little bit more useful for organizations, particularly in the small to medium category. So once again, thank you for watching. I hope you found the information useful. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel, DPO Solutions. Check out the links in the description in the video below this video. And also take a look at some of our other products on the channel, such as the Records of Processing Activity Management Tool and the Data Privacy Impact Assessment tool, which were both recently released and will be updated again in the future, as well as we move over to the Access platform from the Excel tool. So thanks again. I hope to see you soon. Thank you.